So here we are then. My last day spent with the CBR600RR. I know I've been calling it a blade for the last few days, that's just my terminology. Obviously the 1000cc full fat racer is the only one that's known as a blade, but you know what? This bike's changed my mind. I've been one of those guys all my life who've avoided riding Hondas because I was so fed up. It's like people who own iPhones, which I do. You know, they go on about them all the time, about how amazing they are, and you actually end up building this antithesis, hatred towards it, without actually having tried it. Oh, I know it's supposed to be the best all-round bike, but, you know, it hasn't got the extremities of the R6 or the Ninja or the Gixxer 600, hasn't got, you know, the exceptional performance or the kind of standout categories that it has, but the others have, but that's the whole point, and this is what everyone who rides a Honda always says to you. They say it all comes together because it's just the best overall package. You know, it may not excel in any of the individual categories, but overall it's pretty much perfect. And you know what? I hate to say it, I've got to agree. Obviously this is the 06 model, and I don't think it's the best looking bike in the 600 category market, but let's be honest, it still looks pretty damn fine, especially these scoopy bits here. They look nice with the red, blue and silver. I'll probably have it in a different colour, but I've got to admit, I've literally fallen in love with this. I spent almost 8 hours on this yesterday riding around Wales, which obviously, hopefully you'll see the videos and load them later, the onboard footage, and you know, everything from cruising around town to riding at kind of Uber speeds. I've even ridden one of these on a track as well, and I've got to admit that yeah, it's really rather good. If you're looking for a 600 racer, to be honest with you, the big thing is I can't see, I mean, I think it gets down to personal preference now with these 600s, because none of them are bad. None of them are bad, and I mean that. They're all amazing bikes, so it is a case of which one you prefer. I think that if you're an incredible rider who really knows the best out of it, then the R6 is probably the closest to an actual 600 track bike you'll have. This, maybe I'm not a good enough rider, mate, maybe I need to get better. This was almost a little bit more forgiving. So doing an 8-hour ride yesterday, as I've mentioned previously, and I know I keep saying the word forgiving, I don't mean that it's any less powerful. It's a tiny little bit, you know, but it's minuscule. It's something you probably wouldn't notice. But it is just the fact that it is smoother, that the suspension, the brakes, the handling all just come together and work. The fact that it's laid out nicely. And of course, this one has got an aftermarket cam on it, but you cannot tell me that this sound doesn't make a difference. I mean, come on, that is just unbelievable. So I reckon I'm going to go for one last spin on this. I'm going to whack it up on the Diaries. I'll put some insurance quotes on there. But I've got to say, 2006 Honda CBR600RR gets a massive double thumbs up from Wilkins. Is there anything I'd like to change on it? Anything I don't like? Hey, well, I don't like the colour, I'll be honest with you. I like the silver at the back, I don't like the red and blue at the front. But obviously you can change that. Again, I do think the styling, this is obviously the 06 and not new one, could be better, then they can make it a little bit more modern. But, as I say, as a bike to ride, I'm actually tempted to buy one, which, I'm actually tempted to buy this one almost, to be honest with you, because of the colour scheme. But then that colour scheme's not exactly bad. Yeah, you can see how much I like it. Anyway, so I'm going to get back on this. Until next time, amigos, ride safe. And I'll probably do a little short message once I get to my underground car park to give you my very final thought on it. Wicked. Okay then, just got back to the underground car park. As you can see, I've just parked up the beast, the CBR600RR there. Just took it for a nice kind of quick half-hour, 40-minute blast after doing so many miles on it yesterday. I'm just a bit tired, to be honest with you, and it's not that, but it's so addictive, and that blatantly you get on this thing, you can spend all day on it. Trying to sum this up then. Okay. I've ridden a number of the 600 full-on sports bikes in different variations in the last few weeks. Obviously, the only thing I can really compare this to is the R6, which I've ridden, and other big full-fat superbikes. As I mentioned, it's grown on me massively. Even the looks and everything, it really has grown on me. Sounds amazing. I know it's an aftermarket cam, but still, you know, you can fit one yourself to make it sound that good. Performance-wise, 600 bikes is so much fun, you know. If you are learning, you obviously wouldn't want to get one of these straight away. Although this is more forgiving and, you know, easier to ride fast than the R6, for instance, I still would recommend getting a CBF600 or something like the SV650 I'll be riding next week. Or anything like that that's a little bit more forgiving, you know, something that teach you how to ride fast, because these things are just unbelievable. Any crotch rocket like this, you just get on and it just goes. But the great thing about it is, this is easy to ride fast. It's, as I say, I keep saying the word's more forgiving, and I'm sound like a stuck record. I don't want to, but it's the best way to describe it. If you think when you're riding, it really comes down to millimetres. You know, you twitch the throttle too hard, you can lose control. The bike can rear up. You slam too hard on the brakes, you know, you come off because the wheels lock. That's what I'm talking about in forgiving. The better rider you are, obviously, the more control you want over these things. You don't want something kind of stopping you having the ability to really stand on the brakes, or stopping you having the ability to really flick at the back. But for someone who, like me, is looking to get into racing, who's looking to take it a little bit more seriously, this has been a bike that has made me improve as a rider, because I've been able to push my limits more than I have on quicker and other bikes, even ones within the same category, or even the big superbikes. But because of that, I've got a massive smile on my face. Honestly, yesterday was one of my best days of my life, riding out around Wales and the Pendergrass Cafe. Just unbelievable, and I owe that to this. Those memories I have of tearing through Wales, obviously well under the speed limits, but you know, and driving through that amazing scenery will always be associated with this bike and the sound that it made doing it. I would have to get earplugs if I want a regular basis, ride on a regular basis, because it is that loud. But yeah, considering that second-hand 2006, you probably pick one up for about £3-4 grand, good low mileage one. That's got 4,000 miles on the clock. I reckon you should pop into Brindley Honda, maybe go get one, maybe even buy this one, because it'll be going back there in a couple of days. But if not, as I've mentioned before, so many good 600 races out there. You can get them cheap, you can get them good. Make sure you know what you're doing before you get on one. Don't just go and do your test, or having not ridden for ages, go grab one, because you will scare the living daylights out of yourself and maybe have an accident. But once you're feeling confident, once you've got that experience, you fancy something a bit more lively, I'd say go for something like this. The R6 obviously looked completely different. If that tickles your fancy more, if you want more of a track day experience, go for that. If you're on a bike you can get on, ride every day, and yet still have that experience of riding a track bike on the road, that's a great example of some fine mechanics work and some awesome Honda-ness. Right, and tomorrow we move on to the next one, which is, as Monty Python would say, now for something completely different. Honda, bye-bye, Harley, hello, XR1200. Nightster. This is obviously modded out, as I mentioned the other day. It's like a 50s style bike. It's got blooming skulls on it, which when you're into black metal and rock music like I am, is possibly the coolest thing ever. I'm actually launching a club night on Wednesday, and I might take this down to put outside because it looks that good. I had a bit of a run it the other day. Obviously it's got a V-twin 1200 engine. It's completely the opposite from what I've just experienced in the Blade, in as much that the brakes on the Blade will be 100 times better than this. The acceleration will be 1,000 times better than this, but it's a different style of bike, different style of riding. Bring it on, that's what I say. Until next time, my friends, ride safe.